no matter what your condition, even if you're a great swimmer and you get out in the river or the ocean and that current is real strong, and you might can't make it across on your natural ability, that life jacket will still carry you if you have it on. It'll keep your head above water. And like you said, the word of God has become that life jacket for us as men. The Hebrew vocabulary for the depressing physical conditions and mental emotions, which are rendered in the King James Version by the English words faint, or faintest, and other compounds of the stern, is as will be seen above, wide and varied, and different derivatives. There's over 62 passages in the King James Version that express this condition. Uh, so we have to realize that we cannot faint. I was going to try to go through some of these, but there are just too many of them. But like you said, the word lets us know that we cannot faint. We can't lose hope. Um, and I was thinking about this morning. I thought it was funny. I picked the topic last night, and we talked about it in Bible study. But then this morning, as I woke up, we saw there was a girl that was part of the artistic swimming team. She was going for a medal yesterday. Did you see anything about that, Elder?
No, I don't.
No, I did not.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you about her. Let me see. What ended up happening, an American artistic swimmer was dramatically rescued by her coach after she lost consciousness and sank to the bottom of the pool during an international competition. This incident occurred Wednesday at the FINA World Aquatic Championships in Budapest, Hungary, the Olympics reported. Anita Alvarez, 25, had just completed her performance in the women's solo free routine when she started to sink. Her coach, Andrea Fuentes, immediately jumped into the water, fully clothed, to save her. Now, what happened during that time, this woman was fainting on national television. She was doing this in one of her peak performances while she was competing. And a lot of people was wondering what happened, but then her coach later on explained that this is a competitive competition like any other, like if you seen somebody running across the finish line and faints, and then the other people pick them up and bring them up. Well, this young lady, she finished her routine and she started to sink. And the coach signaled the lifeguards, hey, this ain't part of her routine. Y'all need to do something. And said when she looked around, they still were staring. I guess evidently they thought she was doing something real fancy. And the coach had all her clothes on, high heels, everything, and ran and jumped straight into the water. And she went, she deep dived. If you see the picture, she went way down. And her coach went and grabbed her, went all the way down to the bottom of the pool and swam and pulled her up into safety. But I noticed something. I would have thought that the lifeguards would have got her. I would have thought that maybe some of those that were standing around the pool would have did something that already had swam. But it's something about that coach that already knew this person's routine. Oftentimes, we got to realize that in our church world, that sometimes some saints have routines. You know about what time they're going to come in. You know what chair they're going to sit in. You know what kind of expression they're going to have on their face, or different things. And so sometimes when it comes to just church, now we do have COVID now, but sometimes I've realized that even those that watch virtually, what time they generally come on, some people come on early. Some going to come about 10, 15 minutes late as if they had to drive in the parking lot. But we have to realize certain routines people have that's in our lives, not just only in the church world, but good friends. If Elder did not show up on this show and did not call, I would have made a call. You understand? Because I know Elder like clockwork. Elder is one of those guys going to be prompt. It's just part of that Navy thing, being in the military. And I thank God every time a lot of our military guys, man, when you get a military person in your church, most of the time that promptness is going to be there.
Yeah.
God knows.
Discipline, very disciplined.
Yes. And but we got to realize that when other people in our lives are not doing well, I'm gonna turn that over to y'all.
Can I say something here?
Well, that's what I'm waiting on.
Oh, okay. I know you didn't say Navy, but that's okay.
Oh, Marine. Oh my God.
You didn't do that.
Well, I did. I'm sorry, Elder.
It's okay.
Marines. Because I'm thinking so much, and I know the deal, but I'm saying thinking about the swimming. I put you in the Navy. I'm sorry.
No, what I was thinking about was, that's how God looks out for us.
Yes.
And He'll send a word at a time you may need it. When you're about to faint, when you're about to go on. I never forget. My mother told me something. I don't remember it, but she told me I was about 7, 8, and she was going through something. It was just me and her. And I said, the Lord will make a way somehow. And she said that thing at that moment was what she needed, something she needed to hear. And that could have only been God, because I didn't know. It's probably something I heard, the old folks say back in the day. But it was what she needed. And I believe God will send us words different times and send somebody by to say something, or we'll hear something in a sermon, something that we need to hear, and I believe that I had another example, and I just can't think of it right off the top, but he'll send a word to us, get a word to us at that time that we need to hear that word, and so I think, and that's another thing I think also about, I always encourage people to read the word, because the more you got the word in you, the more the word will come up at a time you need it. It'll come to your mind because you put it in. So that's something that I just wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, that's a word in season. Bringing a word in season. Sometimes a person needs to hear a certain thing at a certain time, and God will use He will use His faithful, His servants, to help one another. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about developing ministry in our church that directly targets the homeless. I think the homeless population is a population that has a lot of people that have actually given up. They fainted. They've given up. There are stereotypes that people sometimes throw at the homeless. That they're either alcoholics or drug addicts, and of course that's not the case at all. And that they all become criminals. That's not true. But I think there are a lot of people that are in the homeless population that have had adverse circumstances come against their life, and they gave up. It was so tough that they just gave up, and they ended up homeless. And like Elder Nat says, some of them, if they were to get a word in season, a word fitly spoken, a word at the right time, it can make a big difference in their lives, and they could be restored. And so we're seeking to try to develop some ministry that directly targets the homeless population. And I pray that the Lord would bless us to really hit the bullseye with our efforts.
That's awesome, because oftentimes you can't just measure somebody being homeless as something is so wrong with them. Sometimes it's wrong with the circumstances and the situations they're going through. I know of 2 instances just recently, within the last 2 weeks, where I learned about this young lady that I do know, that actually a student at a university, and found out that she was homeless for a series of months. And then also my son telling me about a young lady that was at Pitt who moved from one state to another, came back and found herself homeless and living out of her car. And she kind of, I think she, at some point she still is. But a lot of times people sit back and you can have these prejudgments on what makes a person, and we have no clue or no idea, you know.
That's true. And I know I've been there. So I can attest to that. And you will find different types of people, you know, that a lot of time my first, when I first came to Greenville, you know, I didn't, you know, I stayed at the shelter. And it's fascinating. The people that were there are not all the same.
Right.
You know, you got people that they were in church. You know, I know churches would come by and speak, and you have people that you know, it seems like we got a break coming up.
Yes. And on that note, you're listening to Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM on your radio dial, WBISLP. You're listening to Real Talk for Real Men, and we'll be back after this sponsorship break. And you come on back and you hear what we have to say. We'll bless you.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by Mitchell's Memorial Funeral Home of Winterville, 2423 E Winter Village Drive. Encourages you to plan ahead now so you will not have to think about it later. 252-702-1880 or 252-917-4420. Mitchell's, a generational name your family have trusted for years. Now it's your turn. Ask for Mr. Donovan Phillips, the funeral home manager, for pre-need arrangements. 252-702-1880 or 252-917-4420. Mitchell's Memorial Funeral Home of Winterville. Thank you for your support. Are you a business or organization and you're looking for a few good people to join your work staff team? Are you now hiring? Need help? Want it now? Be listed and get noticed in our Awesome Radio on-air classifieds. Post your now hiring job descriptions on our website and have it announced here on this radio station and get your positions filled. Sign up today at WBISAwesomeRadio.org or contact us by phone 252-756-3137. People are looking for jobs. Let us help you find those people. Get your now hiring, need help, wanted now announcements listed in our Awesome Radio on-air classifieds. Visit our website to learn more, WBISAwesomeRadio.org, or contact us by phone 252-756-3137.
This is Reggie Price, and I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM.
Surely in the family, God is with me. Surely in the family, God is with me. Surely in the family, God is with me.
All right, so we're back after the sponsorship break. You're listening to 106.9 FM on your radio dial, and our show is Real Talk for Real Men. I want to encourage anyone that would love to sponsor this show or any show to call 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. If you want to give any input on this show today, you can call in studio to 252-756-2008. That's 252-756-2008. You might have somebody that you want to be able to hear this show, and they're not in our radio broadcast range. Well, you can tell them they could sign up on the Android app through Google Play and get the show, and also and the station, which is Awesome Radio 106.9. They can download it on the App Store, on Alexa, and Roku TV. And you can even say, Alexa, play Awesome Radio, Winterville, North Carolina, and it will actually play our show. But we're talking about not fainting. But during this segment, did we give this segment room for, for current events? So let's get ready to rumble. All right. So, Elder, can you brief us on the hearings?
But can I finish my thought before we went
to break?
Go
ahead, Elder. My bad.
Yeah, I wanted to. We was talking about the homeless, and I was talking about the shelter, and I think the one thing we have to do, and it's about, even as you deal with people in general, not assume. We can't approach that situation assuming. We just need to talk to folk. Right. You know, and I remember a church I was at, we went to the shelter, and the sister asked me that because she know I had been there. She was like, how do we talk to them? I said, just talk to them. You know, so, you know, we can't meet the needs until we talk to folk, because you don't know what the need is. You can't assume what the need is. You know, it's homelessness. We understand that part of it, but what else is it? What got them to that place? So anyway, I just wanted to share that. The hearings, I think the hearings are good. I encourage folks to listen. I listen, you know, as I'm doing something else. You know, you can have it on, you can listen, you can see, you know, and it's not really long, you're talking, but it's an important issue when it concerns the you know, just how we live in this time, and the democracy, what we call democracy, is dealing with. And we almost, I tell you, we had a guy that actually was trying to steal it, and they're showing it. They're bringing the receipts. They're having people testify, and it's not a one-party thing. It's the party. Actually, it is a one-party thing. It's the Republican Party that's doing they're the ones that are coming and testifying. So it's not the Democrats are blaming it. So I don't want to kind of get into those weeds, but they're saying, you know, these guys, they did the one that just happened. There's one today, but the one that just happened dealt with they were trying to bring alternate electors. There were states that were trying to do that. In other words, they wanted to throw out the votes of the regular people. In other words, if you had voted, they'd throw your votes out, and they'd put in their electors and it was just, you know, and they were just showing how the pressure was being put on state people to do that. And I think the most thing, I'll say this before I leave, the thing that caught me was the sisters in Georgia that they put pressure on by speaking. Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani put those sisters' lives in danger. Those two, a mother and a daughter, lives in danger by lying about them on television and online. And they had people that was threatening them. They had to leave their homes. And to hear them, you know, if you go to YouTube or somewhere, you can find it. And it was just, you know, it reminds you almost made you think about Jim Crow times. You know, people coming to your house. People came to the woman's grandmother's house and talking about a citizen's arrest. They were about to go, you know, they were coming in, you know, talking about they looking for the daughter. And you know, so that's crazy stuff. I mean, we're in a place now where it's almost dangerous to disagree with someone. So we got to look at this thing. You know, it's real. So we need to be aware.
Pastor Lawson.
And vote.
One of the things that that I guess there's a potential disturbing aspect of the whole January 6th ordeal is that it seems like that the Department of Justice and these January 6th committee hearings are not on the same page. You know, they're beginning to you know, criticize one another. And then I heard this morning that the trial for the Proud Boys and one of those other hate groups white nationalist groups is going to be delayed, possibly into next year. I don't see how that could be a good thing. Maybe it is, but I don't see how that could be a good thing. So I know that there's a lot of political maneuvering and positioning and all that kind of thing. But I'm hoping that they'll get that all worked out, because I still see this as a major threat. This may go down as the biggest threat to this democracy since it started. And I'd hate for it to get messed up or confused. There should be clarity. Everybody should have an understanding of what the experience was, and that the solution to it should be solid. And I'm hoping that's what it will come to. But every now and then, you have to have doubts when you see, number one, the Department of Justice and the January 6th committee not being on the same page.
I find it amazing that, Rudy Giuliani was looked at as a hero until he somehow or another, I guess, got known and start dealing with Trump. Giuliani was looked up as a national hero. He broke the mafia down. He literally broke down the Genovese family. I was going to start trying to name all of them. I'm thinking I'm going to start messing up, but I did get that one. But he broke down the big five.
They were always dissenting opinions about him being a hero, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're right. Yeah. He did get some credit for that.
Yeah. And he was the prosecuting attorney.
Yeah.
And but whatever tactics they used, it worked. Well, it worked some. It worked well. It broke some of it down, but what got me was he risked it all just trying to be dishonest and trying to make. I guess he really had his moment in the sun.
Yeah,
and he wanted to really try to get back up there, but he's done some. Almost, to me, if you took it and made it a little comedy show, I think it would go real well. If somebody, you would think that they were just trying to make everything up, but just to put all this in a sketch comedy and then say, y'all do know this actually happened, right? I think it would be something else.
Well, maybe Elder can tell us something about that. He may have been in New York while this was all going on.
Well, we'll let him tell us in a moment because we're so close to this.
Well, yeah, the Giuliani reign was, it was what it was. I wasn't, I like you said, to us folk, he wasn't that much of a hero. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't where what he is now. But the thing is, I'll say something about what you were saying about the DOJ and I don't think it's really in
sponsorship break. You'll be able to do that.
Huh?
And on that note, we're going into a sponsorship break. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM on your radio dial. This is Real Talk for Real Men, and we will be back talking about not fainting.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by A Special Place Home Care, 3729 West Wilson Street, Suite 7, Farmville. We assist you with personal care in the comfort of your own home. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, shopping, running errands, and more. 252-228-8306. A Special Place Home Care, helping you and your loved ones to maintain good quality of life right at home. 252-228-8306. A Special Place Home Care, companion care, respite care, personal care. 252-228-8306. Thank you, A Special Place Home Care, for your support.
This is Awesome Radio, WBIS-LP 106.9.
Surely in the family, God is with me. Surely in the family, God is with me. Surely in the family, God is with me.
All right. On that note, you're listening to us on 106.9 FM, Awesome Radio. Elder, we're gonna let you finish your thought, and then we're gonna go back to Don't Faint.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The thing I wanted to say about the DOJ and the committee, I really like the way they're doing this. You know, it's not like your standard committee, and I thank the Republicans because they refuse to seat anybody in the right way. They didn't get their people in to have the disruptors in there. You know what I'm saying? So they're able to put this together. And what I like about it is that they're laying it out for the public to actually see what happened. I think the DOJ, because when they do investigations, they can't let the public know what, so we don't really know what DOJ is doing. I think there are investigations going on. We just don't know about it. And we're starting to see, the only time you get to see an investigation from them is when they file an indictment. Then you get to see, you know, because then the public can see what they're doing. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that we don't see. But the J6 committee is putting out the info for the, so if they indict one of the big fish, so to speak, which I think is going to come, we know what happened already. So it's not like a shock, and they can't deny it. They can deny it, which they probably will, but we will have seen, the public will have seen the information. And I think that's what's going on. It's a two-pronged thing going on. And I really think they're doing a good job. That's just my opinion.
Well, cool. All right, now we're gonna go back. If you would like to comment on the show, call in at 252-756-2008. I want to go to Galatians chapter 6, verse 1 real quick. And I'm going to frame this to make it kind of fit. It says, brethren, if a man is overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness concerning thyself, lest thou also be tempted. I think that's something good to hear. Sometimes we as saints, we get overtaken in faults, and most of the time, I would love to say that it was just the babies in Christ, but sometimes those have been mature, and you really looked up to them, and they get overtaken in fault. The next verse 2 says, "Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." And then and I love this part because somebody might say, "Well, I'll never be tempted. I'll never be deceived. I never go the wrong path." Verse 3 says, "For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden." And then it switches over and it says, "Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to the flesh shall reap corruption, but he that soweth in the spirit shall also of the spirit reap life everlasting." And then I want to say these two parts. "And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." And verse 10 says, "As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them that are of the household of faith." I want to unpack all that. Let's try to put it back so it can have some shape. I think that a lot of times we can see saints that'll do something that might even bring embarrassment on our family or on the whole church universal or on, whatever context that person might be to you. It might be you. But what we have to do, we got to learn how to restore. The Bible, the Bible, Lord help me get used to standing. Oftentimes in Christian communities, it's sad to say, but as saints, we are the only ones that shoot our wounded and kill our dead and soldiers. And we have a lot of good people that make mistakes or seem like they live in the mistake realm, and we don't really do a good job of restoring people. But the Bible let us know in these verses that to really properly restore somebody, consider yourself, consider somebody you love. It tells us to bear ye one another's burdens so that we can fulfill the law of Christ. The Bible also tells us don't deceive ourselves, because sometimes we feel like we're in a place that we might not be. And then it also tells us don't sow to our flesh, because if we sow to our flesh, we're gonna reap corruption. But then it tells us to sow to our spirit so that we can have everlasting life. And while we're sowing, we can't get weary in doing well. For in due season we shall reap if we don't faint. And so on. And then also tells us that we should be people that's in the household of faith. You ought to show some extra love, because you should understand that duality of that good part of you that want to do right and the other side of you that don't. So I just wanted to put that in, and I'm gonna let y'all guys work with the rest of it.
Well, I'll go ahead and comment on when you talk about fainting, the scripture that you pointed out, be not weary in well doing, and then you'll reap in due season if you don't faint. That kind of points out that weariness contributes to fainting. People get weary, and it burdens them, and that contributes to fainting. Whereas encouragement, like that first scripture, if a brother be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one. That encouragement that comes with those restoration efforts, they prevent the fainting. They give strength. Like when David encouraged himself, that was a situation where he could have fainted in that time of adversity. He could have fainted when all of the women and the children were missing, but he encouraged himself. And encouragement is a prevention. The scripture says in Proverbs 24:10 that if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. There are a lot of young people that give up, and a lot of times it's because they did not get the proper encouragement, in their household. Not all the time, but sometimes it's because their parents didn't give them that kind of encouragement that leads them to believe that they can win. So they give up so easy. I think that's a good reason to get your kids involved in competitive sports, because it helps instill that confidence in them, so that they will fight, instead of just quitting, giving up, throwing in the towel, jumping off the bridge. They will be more willing to fight it, and thereby have that kind of strength where they can survive adversities, because we're all going to face adversity one way or the other, some of us more than others, but you got to have that fight in you. It ain't the size of the dog in the fight, but it's the size of the fight in the dog. I think we all heard that one.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I was thinking about it as you were speaking, Pastor. You brought up the David thing, and one of the things that David could hang on to was the fact of the word. He had been anointed, and God said he would be king. So when God says, so that's something you can hold on to, God's word. Okay, he knew it wasn't going to be over because God already said you're going to make it. But a lot of times I think when we're doing things, when we're in the middle of it, it seems like, and then you'll see people off to the side seem like they're doing so well, and you can tell that they're messing up. You know what I'm saying? You can see that they're corrupt, but yet it seems like they're winning. and so it can be discouraging, but we got to continue, and like it says, in well doing. Just keep doing good. Do good, as it says in Psalms 37. Do good and dwell in the land. I like to say it like, you just keep doing the right thing. You just keep doing the right thing. Don't worry. And I love the sowing and reaping aspect of it too. It makes me think about the farm. You put the seed in, you don't see it right now.
Come on, Elder.
Just keeping the weeds out. Just keep the mess going. Eventually something's going to pop up. So we've got to have patience with that.
I love how you said that. And then we're going to go to, I think, a good scripture to kind of bring up at this point. One of my favorite from when I was a child. Isaiah 40, 29, and 31. It says, he gives strength to the weary. To him who lacks might, he increases power. Though youth grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly, yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not faint. And I love that. They say it turn around and say even the young get weary and the youth get tired. Now, back in the day, we might not have really put a lot of stock in that. But I think now that you see all these school shootings from people that either have different whatever mental thing going on with them, and then you turn around and you see these kids that are getting bullied all the time. I remember, and it was crazy to me. One of my sons was getting picked on years ago, and the kids were telling him to kill himself. They won't even their jokes at the lunch table. We used to make fun of you had big ears, your complexion, your nose, your eyes, whatever, your hair, or whatever, how your mama looked, daddy looked. Even if we never seen your mom and dad, but they just were straight up telling my son, "You're worthless. Why are you here? You should kill." No, these are the jokes that our little kids. I'm talking about. This was fifth and sixth grade. This was fifth and sixth grade, and these are the type of things they were saying. And I would notice when my son came home that he always, I'm gonna call his name. My kid would just walk in and he'd smile and everything, and I talked to him, but he would go in his room and just lay in the bed and get quiet, close the door. And so we got to realize what's going on, because a lot of things is going on at work. People say something crazy to you at work, depending on how nasty people want to be, or maybe you see your job performance isn't doing well, and maybe you're not suited well for that particular job, and you're just trying to make it. Some people get discouraged. Some people, most discouraging place is the home. Wife can always tell you what's wrong. This is a real talk for real men, so it come from a male point of view. Wife can always fault find, never praise. I don't know what it is about some of these wives that don't know how to give praise to the husband. Knowing that man is created in the image of God. So, praise that man. Men love chili. I like it when my wife, tell me I've done a good job. Make me feel like I need to put on my Superman shirt or something. But we gotta do things to encourage each other, and then we can't forget what David did. He's the one that we always go to. David encouraged himself. I tell you, you got to walk around. Yes, you the champion. Who's the man? I'm the man.
Beat yourself on the chest.
Yeah. You got to do like Tarzan. I'm probably made some folk want to turn the radio right then. But we got to do some things to encourage ourselves. We got to stay encouraged, because this life can make you feel like you're less than what you truly are. I'm going to turn it back over to the elders, like they say.
But when you talk about encouragement, by definition, when you encourage someone, you're basically instilling confidence in them. You're letting them know, or you making them feel like they can make it. You can win this. You can overcome this. You can get past this. And you talked about the home. A lot of times people go outside of their home on jobs. They go to school. Children go to school. children go out in the neighborhood to play, and they face a lot of adversity out there. So when they come back home, if they come back home and face additional adversity, that's like a double whammy. Home is where encouragement ought to be guaranteed. Encouragement ought to be the environment, instilling confidence in one another, husbands and wives, instilling confidence in one another, parents instilling confidence, in their children, letting them know you are a winner. When you go out there, I don't care what little junior say, you are a winner, and so that encouragement thing is a big deal, and maybe it's not emphasized as much as it ought to be, in the home particularly, but even in schools, sometimes teachers don't encourage kids. They do more to discourage them than encourage them, especially kids that are already at risk.
I seen a teacher do that. I was shocked. I was in a meeting with and the teacher seemed like she kept making little sidebarbs at this kid about how his reading was. And you could see the child go, you could see the hope in his eyes at the beginning of the meeting, and you could see that attitude start coming. I said, this teacher really is. I said, if this kid got to deal with this, no wonder he ain't progressing in that arena. Well, actually, it was some progress, but that teacher made so many jokes. I'm like, and I'm sitting there, and I think assistant principal was in there at the time. And we have to be so careful how we're dealing with young people. But I want to go back to what you said, but because we're talking to men. What we should do, let's just don't get that regular and let's put that premium in each other when we see each other.
It costs a little bit more.
Yeah, it do. It might take your ego to tell somebody, I don't know what it is, but it seems like it costs some people something just to tell somebody else a compliment without trying to add themselves to it. Okay, can't nobody do elder like elder. I love the way he's set up when he's teaching, how he sets the text up, and it's like I've gotten lots of compliments from different pastors that will tell me, man, I love the way your elder put that together, and literally, and they were just telling me
teaching skills.
Yeah, just and make it interesting, not just dot, but it's interesting. Nobody can do Pastor Lawson like Pastor Lawson can do. Yeah, that savoir-faire, kind of like Billy D. He come on in there real smooth, teach that word.
Billy D. Oh my,
you get it. But we got to get to a place where we know how to encourage each other. And because let me say this, I was looking at it one time, and when I was going to another church, my home church, and they was talking about edification. What is it? And the first thing that came to my mind, generally what happens is communities build the same type of houses. Like the type of house I live in, I don't think they're going to ever build that style again. They got them more into the big style, and you can't really get a house built that's probably under 200,000 nowadays. And so you got these big elaborate houses, but then they have inside those communities, they set up rules that you can't have certain pools. They got to be in ground, can't be above ground. You can't put this kind of barn up. You got to have it this amount of feet from your house. Different things you can't do because they're not going to let you bring down the value of that community. So we have to realize that the more of us that build some of the same good things, it brings the value of everybody up. We want to keep the value of our faith community up. When I went to get my Toyota, I worked out myself a deal. When I got myself a Dodge Caravan, I worked out myself a deal. If I want to go get a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, they're not going to try to work a deal with me. Why? Because they don't have to. So we got to learn how to build each other up, encourage each other. Everybody in your house ought to be encouraged. You ought to tell your wife you about one of the best wives in the world, even if she is a little kooky. If you got to be able to tell your husband if he's backward and putting on mismatched socks and Converse and Nike on different feet, you ought to make that man feel like he's the king. But on that note, you listen to Real Talk for Real Men, and we talk to you later. God bless you.